I don't think Joe is ever going to win with Insight and CleanX on his team. I don't even think he's even going to win with CleanX on his team. Why did Capsule get picked up on this team? It's a rhetorical question because I know why. PR. GG Breaking Point PR. It was Flank PR. I was really rubbed the wrong way when Purge didn't want to team with Clay and he egoed him.
This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us. Say please. Could be us. Say please. Could be us. Say please. Could be us. She gotta say please.
On this level, I guess the burrito level, like I love talking on the burrito level, like
say please.
All right, yo guys, welcome back to another episode of the Borito Talk podcast. I'm your host Burrito, the number one CDL ESPN analyst / content creator in the world, and we're gonna do a quick one today. I know I say that every week. That's like the gimmick, right? I literally say it every single week, end up going an hour 45. But this one actually is gonna be quick. There's not too much to talk about from the past weekend of matches, considering I didn't watch as much of them. I was doing a Zombies Easter egg. I know, absolutely shameful, but I did my job to go back and watch during the week, during the week off stream. I was going back watching stuff, and I still had it open the side monitor, but I just could not be bothered for some reason by a lot of these matches. But this next coming up weekend is the penultimate weekend before Major 2. This is going to be the most important weekend because everyone is around the same area. Everyone's been terrible. Everyone is shoulder to shoulder, neck to neck, except for OpTic and I guess Heretics, who have sort of pushed ahead, and Cloud9, who is undisputed at the bottom, and Vancouver, undisputed bottom. Not so much Vancouver. I think they're still in the mix, but Cloud9, undisputed bottom, Miami, and OpTic, undisputed top two, I would say. And then everyone else in the middle is like one win away or one loss away from going 2-3 places down or 2-3 places up, So, yeah, the main topic, which is actually going to be first because the first game, is Toronto Koi, as they lost to Cloud9 3-2 on Friday. I'm not going to lie. It's hard for me to make some of these Friday matches sometimes because they start at 1, and I just hope they put a terrible game first so it kind of gives me time to get home and make it for the second one. And when I saw this Koi against Cloud9 game, I was thinking, man, this game's going to be so simple. They're going to walk in there, they're going to 3-0 them, and, we're just going to leave it at that. This is not going to be an important game to watch. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching Koi go up 1-0. I'm like, yeah, expected. I pull up on my iPhone as I'm working. I go on the COD League website. I refresh to see if the map updated. I'm like, okay, it's 1-0. Next thing I know, it's 1-1. I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, they ain't Eslam. It's probably a terrible S&D map. I even looked. It was like Colossus. Like, yeah, whatever. And then they win Exposure, and I'm like, Cloud9 up 2-1? What? And then I think I make it home by the Colossus hardpoint. I think. Actually, no. I don't think I made it home for the series at all. And then the Colossus happened. No, I actually did make it home. I did make it home. The Colossus happened. Koi ran them. But I was like, I don't know, man. They're terrible at S&D. They're playing a raid S&D, man. I don't know about that. And sure enough, Cloud9 wins 6-4 last map, raid S&D. Their 2 wins on the season are against Paris and Toronto Koi, 2 of the top teams. Everyone else they can't beat. But apparently they can only beat teams on the upper end of the league, I guess you could say. And man, I'll say the same thing I said when I talked about Paris losing to Cloud9 from the perspective of Koi and where Koi thinks that they are. Where the individual players, if you were to interview them and where they think they want to be, especially a player like Joe, where they want to be and expect to be. Especially when you just heard Joe in a documentary say, we should have handled Miami at the major. Like, that should have been an easy series. I don't know how we lost that game. You're saying that about Miami. Granted, it's not the same Miami that we're seeing right now. They've improved. We'll talk about them later. if you say that about Miami, what do you think he thinks about Cloud9? And I mean, he delivered. He had 106 kills in the series. He had a 1.45 in the series, and he lost. We know he's mad. I'm pretty sure at the end of the game, he stood up, probably going like, what the hell, guys? Like, what do I got to do? Like, we're facing Cloud9, and you guys are literally getting absolutely dunked on. What is going on? I'm wondering the same thing. How are we losing? It shouldn't be going game 5. This should be like a 3-0, 3-1. Let me take a look at my videos. Who picked Colossus? It was Cloud9. Koi banned Scar. I mean, I guess because that's Cloud9's like best map, I guess. Like an S&D, but I would much rather play him on that than Colossus S&D. Are you kidding me? Just terrible. I don't know how we're losing exposure overload. Man. And it just made me think, okay? When we talk about this Koi team, everyone's saying drop insight. I'm in that camp as well. But I'm going to come in with an even hotter take, okay? It's not even that hot of a take if you really think about it, but I know a lot. But I am going to preface by saying CleanX should obviously still be in the league. He's a great SMG. We all know that. But I don't think Joe is ever going to win with Insight and CleanX on his team. I don't even think he's even going to win with CleanX on his team. I just think Joe needs newer age type of players. And CleanX is even that newer age type of players. Like, I think Joe would play well with like a BZ and system, but he needs different types of players. I think Insight and CleanX together, for some reason, just doesn't mesh with Joe. I think Joe plays on a different level. And I'm not just talking about skill level, because obviously he's like better than both of them. But I think the pace he plays at and the way he wants to play, sometimes it feels like it doesn't correlate with Insight and CleanX. And Kips came in and he's been a breath of fresh air and he's doing just fine. He's great. I think if I were in the camp, and I mean, they've had like the same coach forever, and I know Insight and CleanX are very well beloved by the org and everything, but if I were in charge of this Koi roster, I'd get rid of both of them. I would actually use CleanX as a business tool to trade to another team, something like that. I know it sounds crazy. I mean, obviously Carolina would not do it, but I would try to go for a look. Obviously, you're not going to send CleanX to Carolina. He's not going there. But you could definitely use CleanX as a tool to get a better player, for sure. If I'm Joe, I'm not playing with Insight or CleanX. That is no offense to both of them. I think they're both good players. But let's talk about Insight and CleanX. They've been teaming for over 1,800 days. This is a card from 2 years ago showing like their duo card. And pro tournaments, 20 at the time. Obviously, they played a lot more together. Average placing 4.35. Great. Series win-loss 102-61. A 62.6% win percentage. Finals appearances 7. Tournament wins 4. Best champs placing 2nd. Twice. Cold War and MW2. Prize money earned over $1 million together. So, I mean, like, they're a good duo, but honestly, if we're talking about in the context of Joe and this new age of Toronto Koi, obviously Joe's probably going to go next year anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I just don't see Joe winning with them. And I know they're good players. I know Insight and CleanX are good players, but they're breakers. They've showed me time and time again, as long as they've been a duo. And I even remember at the beginning of the season, I thought they were playing. Granted, it was Den. Okay. I know they're Den merchants, but I remember watching them play Den at the beginning of the year against LAT, and I was like, oh my god, like they look so ahead. Like the way they're playing that map, the synergy, the teamwork, the setups, the formations is all great. It was all great. But I think Insight and CleanX are just too much of chokers. I think they choke and break more than they get positive results. If we're looking at the grand scheme of things, if we look at their history, yes, they've won together. There's not a lot of people in the CDL that win. It's usually like the same people. Not going to lie. It's usually the same people. So they have won in MW2, they won in MW3, they won in Cold War. You know, like they've won every year. Obviously not Black Ops 6, obviously not Vanguard, but I just think I almost feel like they may be uncomfortable. I think they may be uncomfortable because I know how it feels, okay? I think we've all been in a scenario like this where we know there's like a player on our team that's better than us and he's like not happy with how everyone else is playing. It kind of like puts that like uncomfortable pressure on you where all of a sudden you start second guessing yourself. You're trying so hard not to fuck up or do anything bad because like, you know, the golden child like might get mad at you. And I think that's maybe that's what Insight and CleanX are sort of going through. There's no explanation for the S&D. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in that game mode. I don't know what strats they're even coming up with. If they're even coming up with strats, it looks like people that don't know how to play the game mode. Most of the time when I watch Joe, he's like ahead. And Kips has been a savior. Kips has been a breath of fresh air. He is able to match Joe's pace and honestly sometimes outmatch his pace, outpace him. And he's great. He's doing great. He fit right into the way Joe plays like a glove. But the other two leave a lot to be desired. And I think, obviously, I don't think Koi's going to do it just because it is Joe's last year. But if it was Joe's first year, I would have made a 2-person change. I made a 2-person change. Granted, CleanX was a lot better at Black Ops 6, okay? He was a lot better at Black Ops 6, but they still have that breaker in them. They still have that choke factor in them. And I think Joe needs better players around him. He's like approaching that level. I'm pretty sure he's already there, actually, but he's at that level where he just needs people that can just consistently carry their own weight. We see time after time again, CleanX and Insight just don't have a good series or don't play good or choke or just do something like that or make a dumb play that costs the team time and time and time again. Joe can't live like this. Joe can't play with breakers all the time. He needs people that produce results. You want to know who else is in a similar position like that? Christopher Lear, Simp. Maybe they might find each other, but I think Joe's probably going to end up with a BZ on LAT if I had to guess. That's just like my early prediction guess is Hydra and Scrap leave LAT. Joe goes and plays with his best friend over at LAT. He already knows the org and everyone, so he's going to fit right back in like a glove. And him and a BZ together in Dallas are going to be having so much fun. They're going to be hanging outside a game like they're already best friends. Everyone says it's going to be Joe and Simp, and even though it sounds way better, but like a Joe and a BZ have like the out-of-game cam, and I think it'll translate to in-game cam. Joe obviously respects a BZ as a player, you know, so many different things. Joe probably has the potential to play both of them before they both retire. But as for Insight and CleanX, I think they not only need to split from each other, but they need to split from Joe. They need to do an individual split and then another individual split. CleanX needs to go on a different team in just a new environment with new people around him. Insight, I don't know what he does, but I need him off this team. If this team wants to do good, you got to get him off. I know he's got a clutch factor. I know sometimes he produces results. But the best analogy I like to use when talking about Insight, for anyone who watches football, soccer, like you will get this analogy. He's like Ruben Amorim's Manchester United. Like they were a bad team, but then he would get those impressive wins. And then you would think, oh, okay, well, he just got that win. Like, let's give him some extra time. Then he'd lose the next game and then lose. And then he would win. And then, like, he just won. You know, like he would find the convenient times to do good, to win, and then go right back to losing. And that's exactly what Insight feels like to me. And honestly, CleanX as well. Like, they're both pretty much in the same realm. And I know CleanX is a highly rated player. I rate him highly too. Maybe not as high as everybody else, but obviously he's a great player. But I just think he just needs a new environment. He's breaking on this team. I don't even think him and Joe are actually even like a good SMG duo. Even like back in Black Ops 6, I didn't even think they were, but that's just my opinion. I think Joe just needs new age type of players. He needs a different breed of players. He needs some winners on his team. And he's got a good piece in Kips. There's not much going on in challengers. I would try to find trades, honestly. I said the same thing about FaZe, okay? I said the same thing about FaZe, that FaZe should do it, and we'll talk about it later. But I think Koi should try to go for Lurks, honestly. I'm not sure if Lurks wants to move to Toronto. I don't even know where he is. I'm pretty sure he's up on the East Coast anyway, so he's like closer there. He's like up there anyway, close. So it's not like it's hard for him to move to Toronto if he had to. He would be good on this team. Joe, Kipps, and Lurks would run pace on this team. And another AR, I'm sure you can find another AR. There's options out there, especially in the league too. If they're somehow able to get nasty, I don't even think they would be, because he's like Boston's like best player or second best player. But there's options. I would replace both of them, but I know they're not going to, so they're not going to win the rest of the season. And they're just going to keep choking, and then they're going to keep complaining about it, and they're going to wonder what's wrong. And I pretty much told them. I mean, a lot of these teams, and I'm talking about Koi. I remember I even like DM Vancouver. DM Vancouver's Twitter. I don't even know who the social media manager is. Probably had no idea who the fuck it was. But I remember I like DM Vancouver in the offseason. I was like, so what are you guys gonna do about like the coach? And then like they hire like Katora, and yeah, he's not doing good. But I'm here to privately consult these teams. Like I could actually help. Like their S&D should not be this bad. And I don't know how they haven't figured it out. Makes me wonder what people in that org are doing sometimes, or just any org in general do sometimes. Like, we're 6 months in, you're still looking like you have no idea how to read a round of freaking search and destroy. Like, that is abysmal. We're professional players. This is supposed to be titled the top 48 players in the world. It doesn't feel like that. And we're going to get into it not feeling like that as we go through like some of these matches, as we go on like a quick fire. But I definitely think Joe, he's not going to be able to leave. I mean, I don't even think Koi would even accept a buyout, even though it's the last year of his contract and he's going to go on a free. I still don't even think they would accept him for money in the middle of the season, because they, just like in previous years, had like that delusional thought that they were actually going to win something, but they didn't, because there's other teams clearly better. But they thought, and it didn't happen. So yeah, they end up wasting the year. If I were them and a team offers some money for Joe, I'm sorry for yawning, I'm taking it for sure. And then yeah, let's go into the next game. Real Falcons against Miami. I was actually highly anticipating this game. I actually thought it was gonna be a great game. These are like the two like nitty gritty teams, and Miami just came out and skill diffed them, and it was 3-0. I thought we were going to get a little bit more of an intense series. I really wanted to see a Blackheart hardpoint. It was map number 4, and we didn't get to a map number 4. I really, really wanted to see two teams play that map, so I was really hoping Falcons would win, at least like the raid S&D or something. But yeah, I mean, super just sniping everyone, and then I just want to, like, I'm just going to do quick thoughts about, like, all these series, okay? Like, I'm not going to ramble, like, unless I have, like, a very good point to make. Miami. I talked about them at the beginning of the season. Even when they're doing bad, I had complete confidence in this team just being able to get better as the season goes on. And that's the one thing I could say about Miami that I can't say for pretty much almost any team besides OpTic. Is actually, I mean, if we look at history, I mean, like, sometimes you can't even say that about OpTic. They just got freaking murked by a miracle. But Miami's like the one team in the league, if not one of two, that I could say every year they gradually get better as the year goes on. Like, a lot of people talk about being an end-of-the-year team. That's Christopher Lear, you know. A lot of people talk about being an end-of-the-year team or just wait till champs, and they show up to champs, don't do anything. Black Ops 6 and this year, you could see Miami getting better every single time that they play, every stage they play, week by week, month by month. You could see signs of improvement. And Trakes was not looking good at the beginning of the season, but now we see him get more comfortable, and now we see how Miami learns and how they adapt and how they get better. Miami has, if not one, then the number 2 coaching staff in the whole league. Like, Miami's the one team who not only feels like they get better gradually, but they're the only team I feel in the league. I mean, obviously everyone has like their different approaches, or some coaches don't have an approach at all. They're like the one team that I see when they play certain teams on certain maps, they are like countering what they do. Like they did their homework and they implemented it to all the players, and all the players are following exactly what these counters are, and they work it around the way that they play, and it's great. It's like a team that actually does homework, and like the coaches actually look like they're useful. But yeah, like Miami just always improves, and usually they improve, and the only way they lose by two ways. They never lose really much by doing stupid stuff. Like they're not really a stupid team. They lose by either getting outslayed by like a better team, like a FaZe or an LAT. Sometimes like the skill diff is really just there and they get fried. Either that, or sometimes like they choke. So sometimes they choke. If you want to talk about OpTic, that Hacienda control at EWC where they got a 4 down, had them pin back spawn, and still lost the round. You know, like they have a choke in them, or they just get outslayed by a better team. But they don't really play the game bad. You know, they never really play the game bad. And that's a good thing. And Miami's a good org for that. And they got a great coaching staff. And I appreciate everyone for actually like feeling like a team that actually does homework and implements things into gameplay and actually gets better. Trakes is now like statistically way better than he was at the beginning of the season. Like he was like a 0.92 at the beginning of the season. Now he's averaging over like a 1.0 in pretty much everything. Obviously like, except for Overload, but he actually is getting way better at Overload. Like he's actually looking like a way better player now, and everyone on their team looks good. And yeah, not really much I can say. I mean, obviously medals, but even when he plays bad, he's like still good. So I'm actually comes like, and he's actually from Barcelona. Wow. Shout out to Barcelona for the 7-2 win against Newcastle today. Yeah, but I think Miami's doing great. They're only getting better. If I had to maybe critique anything, I mean, obviously they still look a little bit shaky in hardpoint. The hardpoint's not fully there. It's not fully there. I wouldn't even say the SNE's fully there, but it's obviously gotten better, super sniping. But they still got some work to do. They still got work to do in all 3 game modes, and I'm sure they're very well aware. But it's nice to see them improve. Nice to see them improve. A lot of teams are not beating Falcons 3-0 right now, okay? A lot of teams are not doing that. Probably only like OpTic's the other team that could beat Falcons 3-0 right now. Every other team, Falcons is going to take a map off of, if not 2, if not 3. You know, so that's great for Miami. And then Paris against OpTic, which was like the big match of the Friday. Paris fall 3-2 to OpTic. And I mean, it's so funny because Paris played up when they played OpTic. Whenever they play other teams, it's very clear that you see Paris shows a lack of respect whenever they play lesser opposition. And, you know, I've questioned this before. I mean, it's nice to be confident and everything. You're just not at that level yet. You're not at that level to be going into qualifier games just overly confident, just playing like stupid, not showing respect, challenging things you shouldn't be challenging, scamming things you shouldn't be scamming. You shouldn't be playing like that. You should not be playing like that. You need to actually, like, first of all, like, respect your opponent and actually just try to really win, like, skill diff your wins and everything. But they just, man, like, whenever they play bad teams. But then when they play OpTic, like, they actually played up. I could feel them trying in this game. And OpTic still slammed them first map, 250 to 165 Colossus. OpTic just plays that map so fast, okay? OpTic is speedy at that map. OpTic's very speedy at that map. Every time Paris would try to set up for something, OpTic was already on a pinch, already there, staggering their push, always on the front foot. Like, their pace, OpTic's pace, and their synergy. And it's not really, like, obviously the pace has something to do with it, but it's more about, like, what you're hitting and the routes that you're taking that make the map feel like a burden for the other team. Like, everyone could be playing fast, but if you're playing fast, going on a wide route, sometimes it's not going to, like, feel that way. And I will say something about Shotzi, okay? I will say something about Shotzi. I think Shotzi is, like, the only player in the league who spawns up and never hesitates. He spawns up and he knows exactly what he's doing and he just hits it. If it's a route that doesn't work, like you see him flanking all the time and he could drop like a 0.6 or whatever, but I will commend him. He never hesitates. He always just spawns up and he goes. Doesn't even think. He's either hitting hill, he's hitting a flank, or he's on a trade. He's doing some and he's hitting it. And that's the reason why Paris could not do anything that first map, because on P2s, Paris would get there first, but then Shotzi's already hitting through P1 or P3 already on a, like, everyone's like, wait, what? He's already here? Like, he's just so fast. He's so fast. He hits things with no hesitation. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't value his life, but not in a bad way. Like, he is not like a Real who sometimes will let the play go by and then he's like, hey guys, I'm here now. Like, he's like in the play all the time, and I will commend Shotzi for that, no matter what his statistics say. That's a very undeniable trait that he has. And yeah, OpTic pretty much smoked them in both the hard points, and then Paris arguably should have won that scar. It was a 2v1 round 11. Hook gets Ghosty in yellow from P1, and Sib was right there in yellow while Hook was P1, tagged up by one pistol shot. He still could have childed and won, but instead he let Hook get away, takes the bomb that was over at A when the player ran away going B side, and instead he like ran over to B where Hook was and then died to him. I was like, wow, this guy doesn't know how to play S&D. If you really take the sniper away from him, he has no idea what's going on. And it was pretty obvious there. And I thought Paris played up against OpTic, and they could have won, but they didn't. OpTic looks way better in hard points than Paris. Paris is severely slacking at their hard points. They started off like 10-1, and now they're just losing, gifting every team a hard point in every single series for fun. And that's not good if you're Paris. You really need to do better, like to get back on track. I know Sib talked about them going through personal issues. I want to send my condolences out to Neptune and the loss that he's going through. I mean, I obviously know how it feels for those of you who were in the YouTube and the Discord last year, but that aside, like, the team is just not playing well right now. They're not playing well right now. And yeah, they're just not playing well right now. They're not playing well right now. Their teamwork is lacking, and if it is there, like against a team like OpTic, like their teamwork was there, but then they were lacking the other aspect of the game, not knowing how to counter OpTic's pace and hitting things. There was a counter that I'll probably get into that in a YouTube video. Not going to get too much into the analysis on this podcast, but yeah, just they look very undercoached. I'm not going to lie. Look very undercoached. They look very, what's the word? I can't even say lost, because it's like, it feels, they feel right there, but they don't feel there yet. That's how it feels after Major 1. It all spiraled with that Cloud9 loss. That Cloud9 loss spiraled. And I was protecting Envoy, saying, don't drop him. He's the smartest player on the team. He's the most accoladed player on the team. But now it's like getting to a point now. So if we're looking at the Major 2 qualifiers, starting March 1st against Toronto, 0.69. Next game, Minnesota, 0.72. Next game against Vancouver, 0.66. Against OpTic Texas, 0.69. And then he played Boston, finally started playing good again, dropped a 1.06. Not good statistics from Envoy. Not good statistics. When I watch him play, from the maps I watched, because I was trying to do some analysis like behind like the scenes on it, it looked like he plays like Kenny. If we're talking about hardpoint specifically, that overcompensation and not being able to just slow the map down a little bit, just overcompensation. And I think he's using the AR too much, like especially on maps like Scar. I feel like he should be like the true SMG on that map. There's a lot of lanes for SMGs, and I think it would help with the pace of the team, not having to push everything, because you can't really push everything with the sub on Scar because there's angles, and just more about securing your angles and enabling like the other ARs in your team like to do more. And kind of set them up for success and kind of be like a gap plug. Okay, that was terrible audio. A gap plug filler. Jeez, oh my gosh. But I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm not gonna get too much into that. I'll do it on the podcast, or I'll do it on the YouTube. Then Carolina beats G2 3-0. I'm not gonna be spending that much time on these series. Estrel, the only one frying on the team. The one player I'm not really a fan of is consistently always the player doing good, so I can't really say anything bad about him from a statistics point of view. But, a long time ago, about a month or two ago, a man they call Mamba goes onto Twitter and replies to my thing when I talked about G2 just having no idea what they're doing and not looking like they have a system in hardpoint. And Mamba saying, "You have no idea what you're talking about." No idea what I'm talking about, hey? Welp, that probably aged like milk. And it's showing how inconsistent they are. You never know if they're going to win or they're going to lose. Getting 3-0 to Carolina, I know it's Carolina online, but Carolina has now started showing weakness now, especially after their LAN performance. It's seeped into the online qualifiers, and they haven't been the same unbeatable royal routers as they've always been. And I'm just not high on G2 at all. Honestly, I would make a change for G2 if it's just me, not even from a hater perspective. Some people might call it hate, but I think they need a change. I don't even like this roster composition. A lot of people might look at this roster composition and think it's great. Estrel, Cramp, Mamba, Skies. They got a pretty good SFG duo, I guess you could say. And they got Mamba and Skies. I don't like the roster composition. I don't know. I don't like the roster composition. I don't like the team and how they play as a whole. They're not that good at S&D. If you take Colossus and if you honestly take Colossus away from them, and what does the other map? Is it Scar? Oh yeah, it's Colossus and Scar S&D. If you really take those maps away from them, and obviously the Colossus Hardpoint and S&D, they are cooked. They are cooked. I'm just not a fan of this team at all. I'm not a fan of how they play. And I'm just not a fan. It's not a fan. I'm not even going to spend that much time on it. Crump definitely has to pick it up. 0.71 in this series is crazy, by the way. Crazy. But against Falcons, he had a 1.14. Miami, 0.89. Granted, they just got Harlem Globetrotter that game. A 1.06 against Paris in a 3-0 win, which I guess will... Actually, no, that was actually last week. Don't have to talk about that. Woo! And then a 1.10 against Boston. Okay. So now Koi beat Vancouver 3-1 as expected. And I'm not going to really talk about this series, but once again, Joe had 121 kills in this series. He said, "I'm not losing to both the bottom teams at all." Insight back-to-back games, not doing good against the bottom two teams in the league. That says all that you need to know. Says all you need to know. The one thing I will say, Vancouver, what are we doing? Vancouver, what the hell are we doing? Okay? This roster composition is terrible. It was terrible at the beginning of the year. It was terrible in the middle. It's terrible now. It's been terrible at every point. Okay? It's been terrible at every point. I want to point out some things when it comes to Vancouver. Where do we start? Let's start with Capsule first. Why did Capsule get picked up on this team? It's a rhetorical question because I know why. PR. It was GG Breaking Point PR. It was Flank PR due to Temps PR. And I just don't understand that pickup. In Challengers, okay, I'm going to tell you something about Challengers. I know statistics aren't everything, but when it comes to Challengers, they mean a bit more. Just because of the level of competition and the stupid stuff I see on a daily basis over in Challengers. If an SMG player in Challengers is averaging under a 1.0, I know it sounds unfair. If an SMG player is averaging under a 1.0 in Challengers, they're not ready for the league. Okay, they're not ready for the league. That's a fact. I haven't seen it. Maybe Hixie, But we all saw what happened to Hicksy. But I'm not even sure if he was even in Challengers before he got picked up on Koi. I have no idea. I think he was on the Academy. I guess he's playing Challengers. Yeah, he was playing Challengers with Scrap. But they were winning. If a SMG player is averaging under, and it's not just like under 1.0. If you're 0.99, maybe. But the way Challengers is, if you're not frying as an SMG in there, it's not going to translate to the league. Capsule in Challengers was like a 0.95 in hardpoint, an 0.96 in S&D, and a 0.91 in overload. How is that going to translate from Challengers when he was on a top team dropping those statistics? He was a 0.95 in hardpoint in Challengers with the lowest OBJ per 10 on his team. If anyone did their research on just that statistic, I'm a big advocate. If you have the lowest hill time on your team per 10 in hardpoint, you better be getting the most kills. You better be. Because most of your fights are isolated or around the hill, which means you're not the focal point of attention, and there's a lot more going on around you than on you, if that makes sense. And you're pretty much given a role to like run around and slay more. If you're not averaging over a 1.0 in that role, you're a liability. And you want to know what Vancouver does? They pick up that liability. And it's not translating. I don't care if he had a good series. I don't care. I'm not high on Capsule at all. Capsule, if anything, looks like the exact same player that he was. I mean, he was good in Vanguard, you know. When he came in as like the shiny new toy in Vanguard, he was frying. But I don't think like the mental aspect of the game, like the intellectual side, has clicked with him yet, even after all this time. I will not forget it. Because I know like the Flank was talking about it, but I didn't watch that episode of the Flank, but people were telling me to go back and watch that Scar hardpoint that like the Flank was talking about. And like this specific play at the end of the Scar. And I was mind blown when I saw that. Maybe some people here probably don't think that's that big a deal. Maybe I should pull it up. Should I pull it up on the podcast? I mean, gosh, I should, maybe. It was against Koi? I think it was against Koi. Surge versus Koi. I think it was. I believe it was. It was either against Koi or Miami. It actually may have been Miami. Anyways, I'm probably not going to pull it up. Okay, it was actually against Koi. And it was 4 days ago. Let's pull this up. Was this even the right one? Yeah, it is. This is the right one. Okay. For those of you on video, like you'll see this. If not, I'll explain to you. Okay, I'll explain to you. 100% I'll explain to you. So it's 225 Vancouver Surge, 245 Koi. There's 13 seconds left on P2 Scar. Okay, so try to picture that. All of Koi is spawning on the P5 side. So picture that in your head. It's P2 Scar. Okay, it's P2 Scar. P2 Scar. Koi is spawning on the P5 side. Vancouver is spawning on the blue side. 13 seconds left. Capsule spawns on the blue side with 11 seconds left. And the rest of his team now is pushing out. And they're pushing towards P5. You got TJ, the only one who kind of knew what he was doing in this scenario, pushing connector to get the cutoff kills from P5 going towards plane, which is like the new hill that's going to pop in 8 seconds. Capsule should have the wherewithal that his team is already pushing out P2, and all he has to do is not create any randomness and just block the damn spawn on his way to P3. He just needs to block the spawn for literally one more wave, and then it won't even matter, because then by then the new hill is going to get popped, and then all of Koi is going to be spawning on the P5 side regardless, because the hill's going to switch. But right now, he unoccupies the back blue spawn. And then everyone from Vancouver who was pushing up to go get the cutoff kills over at P5 now doesn't really know yet that now Koi has spawned on a pinch. and Capsule has no idea what he's doing. He's literally running in circles, has no idea what's going on. I think he realized a little bit too late. Oh my God, what have I done? By then it was too late. And then Koi gets on the new hill and they win the game. And I'm just thinking, this is a professional Call of Duty team. This goes back to the point I made about being you're labeled, okay? This is the label that they used to do. You are one of the top 48 players in the whole entire world. We are 6 months into a game. Any advanced player, okay, maybe not like the rank play player like knows it by now, but especially in Challengers, they scrim every day. They play cups all the time. They got matches all the time. That to a pro player or just anyone who's been playing Challengers, that should be common knowledge. To block that spawn at that specific time, to not create randomness and keep all of the other teams spawning in the same spot to set your team up for success and not create any randomness. You keep Koi spawning P5 and you could just slay him from there, slay him from there, slay him from there. Keep him there. Why unblock it and force them to spawn behind, and now they're on both sides, and now your team looks dumb, and then you look dumb and you lose the game. That play is not a play that I want from a player on my team, okay? A player I'm picking up to make a difference on my team, that is not a play that I want to see. That is not a play I want to see. And when it comes to blocking spawns, like, we could talk about armchair quarterback plays in the middle of a game, but when it comes to blocking a spawn to not create randomness, like, that's a very important play to me and like a trait to me to have, because it sets your team up for success. It's not just like a play like, oh, like maybe I should have looked here or looked there. It's not like that. This is a play that should be wired in your head half of the year. We're half a year into this game. And that's not a play that's wired in his brain by now. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I was mind blown. And Capsule's just not cutting for me. I don't think he's good enough, okay? I just think certain players, not everyone is going to be like a pro player, okay? Like, he was a pro player, but not everyone is meant to do this shit for like a long time, okay? There's a reason why it's the 48 best players in the league. And if you ask me, he's not one of the 48 top players in the world. Wouldn't even put him like 150, I think. I don't even know how many players there are. I don't know, man. Just bad decisions all around. And like another thing I want to point out when it comes to Vancouver. I'm talking too fast. I'm sorry. My mouth's dry. As I take a sip from my water. It's so funny because last week I was like taking a sip from my water. You guys aren't going to hear anything, and I could hear myself gulping. I'm like, oh my God, I hope it's ASMR at least. Something I have a hard time understanding when it comes to the respawn. I guess you could say it's a good thing, but why is Lunars the top slayer? He's a top slayer by KD, but he doesn't even have the highest slayer rate on the team. That makes no sense. He has the best respawn KD, but, doesn't matter. Another thing, why is Gwyn the highest OBJ per 10 on the team? If we're talking about from like a raw skill perspective, Gwyn's like the best player on this team. Why does the best player on the team have the most OBJ per 10? It's like freaking Baze. Back when freaking Sam had the highest OBJ per 10. I'm like, he's the best player on the team. Why is he on the hill? Why is the best player on this team have the most hill time? Capsule is 48 OBJ per 10. Gwyn pretty much almost has like double his OBJ per 10. And Cap's at 0.84 in hardpoint. It's like, why even like bother? Why even bother? And Gwyn and TJ deciding to team again, I don't know who let that happen. And this is where I want to bring in Ricky Atoro, okay? I usually don't call out coaches by the name, okay? But, man, it's not even hindsight. Gwyn and TJ have teamed together like the previous like 2-3 years. And you saw how those teams were like. How could you let something like this happen again? And what did you think the end result was going to be? Absolutely ridiculous. That's like all I'm going to say. I'm really not even going to get into it. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, the team, Capsule, Gwyn, Lunars, and TJ just looks like a blackout team. It's just a blackout team. There's like no brain on that team. Like there's no brain on that team. I guess you could say it's a TJ, but he's just a coaster. He's a coaster. He's just coasting for a paycheck and that's it. He's like barely even playing at the time. Barely even playing at the time. And the whole Vancouver team is just absolutely terrible. I know the reason Capsule probably took the offer is because he has been out of the league for so long. Probably no one else is going to pick him up. So he took that offer. So that's great for him. But I don't know, man. I don't like it. I never liked it. I actually thought it was a terrible pickup. I actually made the tweet right when the roster happened, and I deleted my tweet because I was like, it's a bit too negative. But I freaking should have kept it up. And then LAT beat Cloud9. Thank God they they better have, they better have. These guys better have. If you lose to Cloud9, like, we'd be having a conversation. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that series. But we'd be having a conversation. Paris beat Boston. I'm going to keep the Boston thing pretty short. It's a good bounce back from Paris. They needed this win. If you lost to Boston, I would be asking for a roster change. I'm not going to lie. I could accept Cloud9. Actually, no, I actually can't accept Cloud9. I can't accept Cloud9. I can't accept Vancouver. I'm not going to accept the trifecta of adding freaking Boston in there. I'm not going to accept it. So if that happened, we would be having some uncomfortable conversations. But it didn't happen. And I want to get into the tweet I made about Boston as I yawn again. I said, I personally think Nasty and Spart are a championship potential winning AR duo, but the other two will always let them down. If it were up to me, I'd drop both SMGs and get actual upgrades in that department. They are two people away from actually contending at the top, in my opinion, but I know that's too logical of a decision for Boston to make. The friendship bracelet between Snoopy and Purge is made of vibranium. Not even inconsistent performances can break it. Wow, that was clever, Burrito. That was clever. That was a clever line. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what dirt a Purge has on this org, but man, I don't know what dirt Purge has on this org. And I just want to get this one out the way first because G2 beat Boston like the next day 3-1. I mean, it's literally just fucking Boston fucking losing. Yeah, woo. That's freaking cool. And then G2 bounced back, but you can't really give it any validation because it's against Boston. So, I mean, can't really tip that. You should just kind of like expect that. So, that win was what it was. But from the perspective of Boston, everyone heard me talk very highly about Purge. Okay, I don't take back anything I said about Purge last year. Okay, I don't take anything I said back. But it doesn't mean I didn't think this. And it all started in MW3, okay? It all started in MW3. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. For some reason, it just rubbed me the wrong way. Part of me, respected the delusional confidence, but I was really rubbed the wrong way when Purge didn't want to team with Clay and he egoed him because he thought he was like ass or like something, or he really thought he was like trash or something, and he didn't want to play with Clayster. 3-time world champion Clayster. If I'm a new player, okay? If I'm a new player, even if it looks like the person's at the end of their career, bro, you get a chance to be under the learning tree of a 3-time world champion, I would just take it for experience, honestly. Because maybe he could actually teach you how to win. Because clearly, you don't want to win at all. Because that's why this team is still together. But for some reason, ever since he egoed Clay, it rubbed me the wrong way. He rubbed me the wrong way after that. And, I see how he talks to Boston last year whenever, they're losing or doing a bad play. And I like how he's actually criticizing them and being an IGL. And I liked it. But I didn't like MW3 when everyone was saying he was enabling, but he was like a 0.5 every single series. I'm like, that's not sustainable, brother. And now he's just carrying on that stank into this year, and he's just not had a good time at it. He's a 0.79 in S&D, 51st in the league. He plays S&D trials all the time, and he's a 0.79 in S&D. I don't know what chows those are, but they're not the good kind. 0.87 overall KD, 53rd in the league. Hardpoint KD, 0.86, 53rd in the league. And then overloads at 0.94, 36th in the league. Just terrible in every aspect. And I'm not even high on Snoopy either, okay? Like, I'm throwing out my Snoopy shit. Like, I know he's like a good mechanically talented player, but he's not cutting it for me either. There's just another aspect. There's more to this game than just being a skilled player, which is something rank play kids are never going to understand. So they're not going to understand me whenever I say this. There is more to this game than just being mechanically skilled. There's a whole other thing up here in your noggin that separates you from the rest. And Snoopy has not found that. Purge kind of has it, but he doesn't have the other part. You know, someone's always missing something. And I don't even think like the brain part's all the way there. So poor Nasty, poor Sparb. I can't even say poor them. I actually made a podcast about how you shouldn't feel sorry for them because they picked the roster knowing what they're getting into. So I mean, I don't feel bad for anyone. It's just terrible. They're not really going to do much with that roster. And for some reason, they're just really super supreme high on Snoopy forever. I don't know why, but I mean, I know why. I could see the mechanical skill, but I think they just looked at mechanical skill and that was it. They didn't look at the rest of the part and how he's just not getting it. He's still not getting it. And just aggravating. Like, Boston is an org that is bad decision after bad decision. Bad decision after bad decision. And oh my god, my mouth is so dry, but I'm on my last 2 games. Yay. On my last 2 games. Let's see if I can end this off before the hour. So 5 minutes per game. Falcons beat LAT 3-0. 250 to 244 Den. 6-3 raid, which I analyzed after the fact. And a 5-4 overtime scar win by the Falcons. So I want to start by saying this is a very winnable series for LAT. You could argue like the Dan Hard point. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. They lost it. The Raid S&D, I thought LAT played very good. They had very good breakoffs. All came down to the situational plays. They would get themselves into pretty good scenarios or easy to read scenarios and just didn't know what to do with it. And it was pretty much almost all the rounds that they lost were situationals when they were in good spots. So I like that they improved on the Raid S&D after playing it like forever now. But they need to learn how to close. They need to learn how to read info. That's something a lot of pro players right now are struggling to do in S&D. And it just makes you think, what are they doing? Like, I know you guys are scrimming. I know you guys are playing ranked, but what are you guys doing? Like, no one knows how to play S&D. What is going on? What is going on? And then LAT's bread and butter Scar Overload. They lose to Falcons 5-4. Did not see that one in my bingo card. It was a very winnable series. And from the perspective of LAT, everyone's wondering, what's wrong with LAT? I might have to make another podcast just about LAT, to be honest. Right now, they are not doing so well. They are not doing so well. They are 5-4 right now. They've only beaten bad teams. They haven't really had an impressive win against a good team, which is something I noticed. But it's good that they at least beat the bad teams. But there's just so much. I think this is a coaching staff problem. I think it's a Hydra problem. And yeah, I actually think it's honestly those two things. If I were to guess, I think it's a Hydra problem. I think it's a WC problem. I know people aren't going to say it. People aren't going to admit it. And I know he's probably like a good teammate on the inside. I know he's probably like a good teammate. But you know, some people have like a bad side to them, you know. Some people have like a negative to them. Like, they could still be good teammates and still have a negative to them. And I remember Scrap talking in like the documentary saying, we don't have a warlord on this team. I think Hydra low-key is like the warlord. I never saw BZ get the OBJ pretend time he's had in Hardpoint with Simp his whole time playing. And all of a sudden, his OBJ pretend has bumped tremendously teaming with Hydra. Coincidence? Don't think so. And time and time again, Hydra's like a very good player, don't get me wrong. Especially in S&D, I just made like a long tweet about it, and I guess I'll pull it up because I tweeted, I didn't refresh the page. Okay, so I said, this is like a very long post. I said, if LAT plays their S&Ds on the front foot and make other teams play around them, Abizi will never have to sit back, spawn, watching flank. In S&D, it still very much seems like Hydra's the focal point of the team. He's great, don't get me wrong, but it feels like it creates imbalance when you have another superstar SMG who's used to the mode centered around him. Sometimes feels like it leaves Abizi in limbo. Crazy they haven't figured out something by now, but I think the best solution in Search is for Scrapinium to be the ultimate utility man for Hydra and Abizi. Ultimate backseat players, they would just have to improve on their situationals, 2v2s, 2v3s, etc. Whether it's watching over them while they push something, sniping a spot for them, watching a pinch for them, just support/enable both them and pick up what you have to. Create chaotic 2-2 splits on offense and defense. 4-man pushes with Neiman Scrap support. 1-3 splits with Hydra on an island while the other two support Abe. Just some darts at the wall. There's definitely things they can experiment on to get the best out of both of them. They should both be the focal points in S&D. Their raid breakoffs versus Falcons were great, even though they haven't won the map yet. So, I think even in hardpoint, sometimes it feels like they lack teamwork. And it's the same thing I say with FaZe. Their rotational play, okay? I'm going to try to elaborate on what rotational play is for those of you who maybe don't understand. Rotational play, quite simply put, is what you're doing on rotations. Pretty simple, right? And FaZe is very bad for their rotational play. I think LAT is actually in that category, watching their den. Sometimes they get rotation first, and people would not be watching the right stuff or reading the right pressure. That all comes down to communication and teamwork. I think their communication's lacking. I think their teamwork's lacking. The fact that this team is 10-13 at S&D, they do have a winning record at Overload, but it's because they're 5-1 at Scar. They don't play the other maps. They're 4-5 in Den, 2-2 at Exposure. They need to get another Overload map into their map pool. For some reason, they just can't play Den. If I were them, I'd try Exposure. Because, most of the teams love playing Den all the time. And if you get good at Exposure, you could always avoid Den, and you have to play Exposure or Scar. It would be easier for you. And they're 16-13 at Hardpoint. And I think if you take away the wins from bottom teams, does not look too well. I mean, I could probably even do that right now. Let's take off. So they played OpTic, Koi, Paris. Let's take away... I know, this is from the beginning of the season. I want to do this qualifier. So we'll do the last 9 matches. But I remember Kenny. I think they played this FaZe match with Kenny. Hold on, let me see. So they lost 3-2 to FaZe. No, that was actually with Neum. That was with Neum. Okay, it was the major one. Did they start the qualifier with Neum? I don't think they started. I think Kenny played 1 or something. He played something in here. I think it was the OpTic game. Was the OpTic game his last one? No, they played that one with Neum too. I'm just cooked. I'm cooked. It may have been Koi, maybe. Let's look. Awkward silence as I pull this up. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to unclick these teams. Okay, I'm going to unclick these teams. I'm going to click the team. I'm going to unclick every good team. Or every bad team. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unclick every average team. So let's take Cloud9 away. I'm not going to take Falcons away. They're a good team. I'm not going to take Miami away. Let's take Boston away. Koi was not playing good at the time. Should I take them away? I don't know. I'm going to take Vancouver away. That's a month ago. I don't even think he was playing then, to be honest. Okay, never mind. This whole experience is not going to work. This experience is not going to work. Because, I don't know. Not going to work. But all their wins so far are against, burgers. I guess I got to take these ones away. Hold on. Let me take these ones away. I'm going to take these ones away. They lost to Paris and they lost to FaZe. So now it starts the qualifier. Okay, I got to deselect. Now I'll just pick Koi, FaZe, OpTic, Miami, and Falcons. Okay, so against those teams, they're 4-5 at Hardpoint, 2-5 at S&D, and 2-3 at Overload. They're 0-2 in Den against the top teams. So that's taking away Cloud9, taking away Boston, taking away Carolina, taking away Vancouver. So not doing so well against the top teams. Not doing so well against the top teams. And I think it's a coaching problem because I think some of the coaches lack aura and maybe players have a bit too much power. And then Hydra, I mean, a lot of people talk about him actually being like a really good teammate, and I'm sure he is, but I think in game, he just has a way he likes to play, and he's not straying away from it. And I have seen improvements. He's obviously taken the bomb in S&D. He actually has like the most plants on the team, which is great. But it's like he takes the bomb, but he still actually kind of plays a lot of the same way that he does, if that makes sense. Like he has the bomb, but the focal point is still around him, but it should be around like the bomb carrier anyway. But I still feel like everyone is like waiting for Hydra to make a play, and it shouldn't feel like that. Like you have other superstars on the team, it should feel like everyone's contributing, especially in S&D. And then their overload, I think they just need an overall. I'm sorry. God, you guys are gonna hate me for those yawns. I actually cannot control them. I think they just need a whole rework in overload. To be honest, they need a whole rework. They need an overload coach. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But they still haven't figured out that game mode. I'm going to have to make a whole nother YouTube video on that separately. But those are my main problems. I already made a podcast about them before. I've talked about them forever at length, ad nauseum. But I think the biggest issues are Hydra and like the coaching staff. I think Scrap's playing great. I think Neem's playing great. Obviously, Scrap still leaves a lot to be desired in S&D. He really does. But I mean, their whole team's overload is terrible. Scrap's like the best hardpoint player, like he always is. In hardpoint, they just lack a real dynamic synergy. Is like the best way I could put it. A real dynamic synergy. I think Neem's doing great too, by the way. Even though this is a 0.95, that doesn't even matter to me. But I'm just going to wrap this up talking about FaZe real quick. Not even talking about FaZe. I already talked about FaZe. I am going to say, still want 04 to be gone. I don't care if he drops a 1.25 against Carolina. Who cares? Doesn't matter to me. Still think 04 should be gone. I'm thinking they should get lurks for him. I feel like that would upgrade this team tremendously. Like the pace would increase. The kills would increase. I think you would get more consistency. And perhaps the S&D actually gets freaking better because 04, like the S&D stars, still not doing good at S&D. Still not high on him. Still not high on him. I need him to go. He needs more time on like another team, like a mid-pack team, to get better and then get up to the big leagues. But they threw him right to the big leagues, and I don't know, man. Just watch them freaking win freaking COD champs, and I'm like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm not worried. But yeah, that's my quick recap of the games. God, I got to stop saying all the time. My mouth is dry. I'm tired. It's 9 p.m. But I want to get an episode out for you guys. Next week's episode is the major bracket prediction. And all of next week, I'm just going to be talking about OpTic. Over the weekend, I will be live streaming these matches because it's like the last qualifiers before the major, and these qualifiers are the most important. We get to see where teams land, who needs to win, must win games in all these games. So we'll be live for these. And then during the week, even during the weekend off stream, I'm doing OpTic notes, going through OpTic. Don't think I forgot about taking down the green wall. I have not forgotten. We're getting back on that. And OpTic's pretty much going to be my focal point for the next 2 weeks. So while all these other mid-pack teams try to claw their way up, I'm focusing on bigger and better things, like the top of the league, where there only seems to be one team right now. Wonder where the rest of the teams are going to go. And we'll take a look at the standings before we close this episode out. And as you can see, OpTic in first place. I have the wrong one. They're 9-0. 2 more games left to play. Who are their last 2 games? I think they have a big game against a big team. Okay, never mind. They play Koi and Falcons. Okay, never mind. That could be an 11-0 real quick. So if they go 11-0, it's really impressive. Miami's 6-3, and then Falcons, Thieves, G2 are all 5-4. Koi's 5-5. They got 1 game left. It's against OpTic. They'll probably lose and go 5-6. FaZe, Paris, Carolina are 4-5 with 2 games left. So big 2 games for them. They could jump Koi in the standings. Like FaZe could actually jump Koi with a win because Koi's probably not going to beat OpTic. So FaZe could jump Koi with the win and get into 6th place, which means they don't have to go in the playoff bracket, which would be great for them. And that's what they need. And their last 2 matches are against Cloud9 and Paris. I mean, they got to cash in on that Cloud9 coin. And Paris is not playing good right now. So if they beat Paris, that's a good win because it's beating a team around you. And they get 2 wins and they'll fly up to like probably top 3, top 4. And yeah, these standings are a lot interesting. The only thing really confirmed is OpTic's first. Miami's probably going to get second. They got 2 more matches. And they are against Carolina and Boston. Yeah, they're probably going to secure 2nd place. So, OpTic Miami for 1st and 2nd secured. Cloud9, last place secured. Vancouver have 2 more matches. Boston have 1. So, Boston's probably going to finish in 11th and not make the major. Wow, what a fall from grace. They're going to have to make a roster change. They're not even going to make the team. And they're facing Miami. Not good. I hope Miami beats them, and I hope they freaking finish down there and they don't qualify. Freaking Vancouver's going to get into the playoff bracket, which is insane. Insane. They got G2 and Riyadh. These are big games over the weekend, so we're going to stay locked for that, guys. Hope you enjoyed this modest episode of the Borito Talk podcast. I've been recording interviews with people, so I have podcast episodes already rendered and uploaded ready for after the major's over. So excited for those. Keep locked for those. More interviews coming. And yeah, guys, follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, on YouTube. Just follow me on Twitter. Just follow me on Twitter. I don't ask for any money. All I ask for is just the free follows and the free subs. If you have an Amazon Twitch Prime sub, whatever. I don't even know how to do that. Honestly, I have no idea how to do that. But yeah, guys, this has been Borito, the #1 CDL ESPN analyst / content creator in the world, with this average episode of Borito Talk podcast. Au revoir, goodbye. We'll see you next time. Peace. Please get Capsule out of the league.